So after swiping this low previous week on the dollar, we decided to move up, and now it looks like we're going to grab all of the liquidity above these highs. So my name is Oscar Madsen. I'm a funded trader as well as a trading coach, and inside this video I will go over all my main pairs, take a look at them and see what kind of trades we can take for next week. So let's start off with the dollar from the weekly time frame. If we take a look at the structure, we're bullish. We then traded into discount prices, tapped this demand zone, took some liquidity, but the order flow at the moment is still bearish with this supply and control. So it could be that maybe after liquidating those highs, we could then just trade down lower, tap inside this refined demand, and then, for example, trade up higher. As long as the overall order flow stays bearish, I'm looking at some downside on the dollar. This looks like a liquidity grab. So from here, we could see an order flow switch and trade up higher. So I'm going to be very careful to take some shorts. But overall, as long as this order flow is bearish, and even if we take some liquidity, that could mean that we could see some downside. So then I might take a short towards that monthly level. From here, we might trade up higher, or we continue to trade down lower with this overall supply being in control. So that's my weekly analysis. Going to the daily time frame, what can I see? Well, that this was our swing low. We did not break it by a candle close, but just by a wick. So this is no swing break. So this is still my swing break. We then had the premium prices that we tapped, took some liquidity above these highs, and now this supply is also in control again. So internal order flow here is going to be bullish with this demand in control. This could push us up higher, but overall this is our supply and control. This is the liquidity that could fuel us again down lower after grabbing it. So what I'm expecting for this week is from this internal order flow, or maybe this demand and at monthly level, to trade up higher to take out all the liquidity, and then I would see some downside, maybe grabbing that low that we will create in a moment and tapping that monthly, and from here we could trade up higher or again down lower. But this is my game plan for now in the beginning of the week, seeing some upside towards all of that liquidity. And once we take out that liquidity, I'm going to be looking for a fractal shift on the 4 hour in order to look for some downside. So going over to the 4 hour now, as you can see, we decided to push down this week already, and this is a liquidity low I want to be grabbing, and from here I want to go along with this daily demand and control, going along to take out all of those liquidity highs. That's the game plan for now, because we took so much liquidity at the lows, and now the order flow is just bullish, and we could continue to trade up higher. So that's for the dollar. Then let's go over to EURUSD. So same thing here, we are bullish, but at some point we gotta make a pullback towards those discount prices. Now at those prices here, you can also see there's liquidity, so it looks like a perfect level to start looking to go towards those discount prices. But again, same thing, the order flow is still bullish, and with this order flow we could now just continue to trade up higher. So why should we trade up higher? Well, because we have a supply zone that's open with all of that liquidity that's open as well. So higher prices would definitely make sense. Maybe even getting like a channel, getting that third tap at that supply, and then shorting towards the discount prices. That would make a lot of sense. But at the moment, as long as the order flow is bullish, I'm of course also going to look for longs. Looking at the daily time frame, well, the daily structure is bullish, and I think we gotta pull back towards the discount prices here, from the swing low to the swing high here. Yeah, we tapped discount prices, and now you can already see a reaction. So for me, also from the monthly level and maybe this liquidity low, we could definitely see some upside. Now the only thing is that the order flow has changed bearish, and we have those quarterly levels that could also push us down lower and take out the liquidity underneath all of the lows. So that's definitely a possibility as well for me. So let's go to the 4 hour time frame to see what I would be looking for. So again, as you can see, the swing structure is bullish, tap discount prices, grab liquidity near the low, which is fueling us up higher to maybe grab liquidity above this high, tap that supply here, tap that quarterly, and from there we could short to take out all of the liquidity at the lows. Now, I find this a bit tricky because we have that higher time frame supply, that liquidity that's still open. So shorting here is not a plus for the week, but maybe it is possible after swiping this liquidity high, tapping that quarterly, seeing a fractal break happen, creating a supply zone, and then we could definitely look for possible short setups. But if I'm going to take shorts, I'm going to go over to the lower time frame in order to be quick in and out of the trade. So that's my game plan on EURUSD. Looking for shorts from this point. Let's say we start breaking this high, we get a retracement. We start breaking this high, we get a retracement into our demand zone. We then see a fractal shift. Then I might even take some longs towards the highs. But overall, I would need a lot of confirmation in order to long because we have all those lows open, and shorting is with the daily order flow, but it's counter trend, counter the discount prices. The only thing or the only reason why you would short is because these lows are open, but that should not be a confluence, because if you see prices over here, then we could definitely take out the lows again. So I would definitely be careful with taking longs, but also taking shorts. But if I will take some setups, it will probably be this short setup, trading a very small setup, maybe something like this on the 15-minute time frame towards the weekly open or something along those lines. So going over to GBPUSD on the weekly time frame, you can see that we just actually switched bearish order flow. But let's first explain the overall structure, which is bearish. Then we trade up higher into premium prices, took some liquidity. From that point, we decided to switch order flow bearish, then bullish again, but now again bearish. So what could we get out of this? Well, that we had a double break, grab liquidity above the high, and now the order flow again is bearish, ready to short this all the way towards these equal lows. So this definitely looks super clean. I mean, we do have some liquidity here still open, but overall this should definitely be okay in order to push us down lower, and we have equals over here. So it definitely looks okay. You can kind of see that we are consolidating. 1 second, guys, I'm going to turn off my notifications. I hope it didn't made it too much sound, but okay, we now have bearish order flow with the supply and control, and from here we could trade down lower. But overall, you can see that we are kind of consolidating at the moment. So definitely kind of being careful with taking actual swing setups as well. Daily structure is bearish. We took liquidity over here, tapped this supply zone, tapped the quarterly level. From here you can see sellers are heavily stepping into the market. Now this was the weekly order flow switch, and now basically what I'm looking for is this supply. So why not this supply? Why not this supply? Well, because we took a lot of liquidity at the low, and now I'm looking to take liquidity above that high, and then I'm shorting towards these equals. So am I going to take longs? Of course not, because that's not in line with the higher time frame. The higher time frame tells me that shorting is the best option based off of everything. So I'm waiting for shorts to occur from that point, and I'm not going to long towards that point. So going to the 4 hour, what can I see? Well, basically 4 hour here is bearish, took liquidity, tapped supply, quarterly again same thing, and now this is what I'm looking for. I know a lot of people are looking to take out this bump in the road, tap this supply with that monthly level to short, but the only thing for me is then that on the daily time frame you don't take liquidity at the highs. So this was a liquidity you take at the lows, so I'm looking to take liquidity at the highs before shorting again. But if you would want to take out this liquidity, which is a 4 hour bump in a road, then it doesn't look like, or we don't take any liquidity at the highs on the daily time frame in order to move down lower. So I would definitely like to see this liquidity high get taken. This is previous weekly high, and as you can see from this move down lower, that is the 50% as well. So that's definitely what I'm looking for. You can also see you had like an impulsive phase. We kind of then move up higher, and now an impulsive phase could happen again. But I would need that liquidity to be grabbed, and then I could take short setups. Otherwise, I'm just not 100% sure of the setup. Also keep in mind, if we take liquidity above the high, keep in mind that we still have this supply open that we could first step before shorting. So that's it for GU. Once we see some downside like this, for example, and this supply, I think swing shorts are very clean trading towards these equal lows. So yeah, definitely swinging this if the opportunity provides us a trade. So going over to EURAUD on the weekly, again, we are bullish with that discount prices. We have this demand, so we could trade up higher from here. Now, what did we see last time? Well, that we grab liquidity at the lows, and that right now we could see some upside again. We are struggling at the moment with that quarterly and monthly level, but overall, I do think that we should break this and just be trading up higher. Looking at the daily time frame, same structure, same discount prices, demand and bullish order flow, because right now also you have this demand in control pushing us up higher. So what happened? We switched the order flow, now creating this demand, then we grab liquidity at the low, and now we could just continue to trade up higher towards all of these highs. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, yeah, what do we see? Well, actually that on the 4-hour time frame, the order flow is bearish with this supply in control. So what could happen? That we maybe see some move down lower and tap the discount prices of this move up. And as you can see, that's going to be like this. Boom, boom, grabbing some more liquidity, swiping these early buyers. And then we could see some longs after the order flow changes bullish. Let's say we now see that the order flow already changes bullish, then we could already look for longs from these quarterly, weekly and monthly levels. Now, taking shorts, I would be very careful because you have some more liquidity above the highs. And like I said, the higher time frame tells us that we are bullish. So wait for the lower time frame to align with the higher time frame. So wait for the order flow to switch bullish, and then we could take possible longs. Going to GBPAUD. On the weekly, we still have that demand open with that yearly level. We took some liquidity, but there's still even some liquidity open. Now we have this refined supply that could be pushing us down lower. On the daily time frame, we are bullish. We have those discount prices, but overall, we are failing to break the highs, which could mean that we could trade and take out all of the lows, more fuel, more liquidity to push us then up higher towards that swing high. So at the moment, I'm looking at downside also with this bearish order flow as well. So going over to the 4-hour time frame, what is going to be my swing structure all the way over here. And I'm again just looking to short based off the higher time frame, which is all of those like that point of interest I want to short towards with the bearish order flow on the daily and the 4-hour. So this supply is also in control at the moment. That is my order flow, and from here I'm looking to just continue and try to continue to take shorts on the 1-hour and 50-minute time frame. Looking at the 1-hour time frame, I actually entered this short over here. Why? Well, we traded inside this supply and we then got some sellers into the market. We perfectly swiped them, and now we got a 1-hour fractal break at this low. Not this one, guys, because that is dead cap candle. Now this low caused this supply to be made, From here, I'm then looking to short because that should be a strong high. The only risk with this trade is that there's no liquidity in this move down, but I'm just trying to continue the order flow down lower. So what could that mean? That there's no liquidity, or that maybe we just now trade up higher, take that liquidity, and then continue to trade down lower. That is 100% possible, also with this kind of internal bullish structure, but I decided to already risk it because we have created that strong high, and I'm just bearish on this pair. With this supply and control, this already looked super clean, so that's why I'm in it already. I would definitely, the A+ setup is definitely taking out these highs in order to short, but this is also a possible A+ setup. The only thing is that there is a risk with this trade, and that is this high. If we decide to trade up higher and take that high out, then decide to switch the order flow bearish, then that's the best setup that could happen on this pair. But overall, I think that we could already see some downside on this pair. So going over to EURCAD, weekly time frame is very bullish, as you can see, and I'm just trying to continue the order flow bullish up higher, like I have been mentioning, towards that supply zone. So on the daily, looking at the daily structure, that's this, and looking at the PVD, here are the discount prices with that monthly, with that quarterly level, with this demand zone, and this liquidity open. So this trade, trading down lower towards that point, from here longing, that is absolutely A+. But as you can see, the order flow is also bearish. So am I going to short towards that point? Of course not, because the weekly and the daily tells me that the best thing to do is to long. Because right now we could even see some upside like this. Now as you can see, the order flow though is bearish on the daily time frame. So even when the 4-hour time frame provides me, I'm not going to take longs already. So what will I decide to do? Well, from this 4-hour structure, we then saw a retracement to take out a lot of liquidity at the lows, and from here we have been creating bullish order flow. So on the 4-hour time frame, it looks super clean to already just continue these longs towards the swing high, towards that supply. But the weekly or the daily order flow is bearish with that supply and control, and that's why I'm not going to take longs, and I'll look at other pairs. Okay, because we could easily see a retracement towards the daily discount prices, which is at that price point, that demand, take out the lows, and then longs are very valid. Let's say we now see something like this, boom, breaking the structure, breaking the daily order flow, making it bullish. Then we could, for example, see this step in the month, grabbing some liquidity or something along those lines, and then looking for longs. So either way, I'm just trying to look for longs whenever the higher time frame and lower time frame align to take these kind of long setups. Going over to GBPCAD, I'm also looking at longs, but it is quite tricky because we have been swiping the high. So we are bullish overall. So we could see a retracement towards discount prices, but I don't really care because the order flow is bullish. We still have this liquidity that I'm looking to trade towards. So going to the daily time frame, you can see, and this is my concern, that we are bullish and that this is our swing high, but that we have been failing to break it twice. So yes, we had some wicks, but no candle closes at all. So this looks like a very strong level. I don't trade support and resistance, but you gotta look at the facts. This is just a strong level pushing price down lower. Now, what is in our favor? Well, every single time that we have a low, it gets respected by the next low that will be created. This low we did not break. This low we did not break. This low we are respecting. This low we also possibly, or this low is respecting that low and it's pushing us up higher. So that means that we have bullish order flow and that we could just keep on breaking those highs and respecting the lows. So that's very good in order to take long setups. Also, we traded inside this demand, and as you can see, that monthly level, perfect price to start pushing up higher. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, we are bullish. We did have the breakout structure on the 4-hour, and this is my 4-hour swing high. Didn't have a breakout structure above that high, but that could be happening this week. So again, on the 4-hour time frame, order flow is also bullish. So this looks like a very, very valid setup. If we see something like this, maybe grabbing liquidity underneath this low and then looking for longs. This is one of the best setups for this week. And the only thing that we should again be concerned about is this high that liquidated that high and caused this supply to be made, which has some liquidity underneath that supply. It kind of breaks some structure and it takes our liquidity. So it is a very strong supply zone. So I would be very careful, but overall longs should be valid because a higher time frame aligns with a lower time frame, and a higher time frame tells me that we should just trade up higher. So because of that single supply zone, I'm not going to take it, but I'm just going to be careful when taking those longs. Going over to the yen basket, like I said, or I have been mentioning, we could just be pushing down lower, and we are also pushing down lower. So you can see right now that the order flow has changed bearish, and now with that E level here, I could see some downside continuing towards these lows. Going on the daily time frame, we are daily bullish. We have tapped discount prices, but overall we reacted from the demand, but no liquidity. This is the liquidity that I want to take out, especially this one, because if you look at this move up, then this is your liquidity, your bump in the road. This is what you should take in order to long again. Also, as you can see, we take liquidity above that high and we fail to break this high. So what could that mean? That we need more fuel, take liquidity at these lows before we could try again and trade up higher. If we also take a look, we are respecting all highs at all times and breaking the lows every single time. So we have kind of bearish order flow, now this supply in control, and I'm again just looking to short this one towards the lows. Going over to the 4-hour time frame, you also are now 4-hour structural bearish. Could we see a retracement towards the premium prices? Of course we could, but I think for me the probability of seeing that retracement before shorting is quite low because the order flow is overall very bearish, and as you can see, every single high gets respected. So it would also, in my opinion, make sense to respect this high from this overall supply and just continue to short, and especially with the TLA level, to just trade down lower. So for this week, I'm only seeing downside on the yen basket. So what could that mean for your yen? Well, upside, of course. So looking at the weekly, we have this demand, and it would be very clean to tap that demand in order to trade up higher towards that liquidity. Overall, maybe we could already see some upside whenever the euro yen provides it, or the yen basket is also providing us with some confirmation in order for us to short. So going to the daily, you can, for example, already see that the order flow is very bullish as well, that we now tapped daily order flow and that we now could see again upside towards that high. Going over towards the 4-hour, I quickly want to say that everybody or a lot of people are looking to short this pair. Now why? Well, of course, if you look at your structure, you now had your impulsive phase. Now you could see a pullback and then again impulsive phase. Also, all of that trendline liquidity is open with this monthly level, and we could take it all out in one big move. That's what a lot of people are looking for because all of that liquidity is open. Now, we've seen that the yen basket has just been respecting those highs and continuing to trade down lower. So if that is the case, we could just see some continuation longs with this daily demand now in control. It doesn't make sense looking at it from our strategy perspective, because we should see some retracement towards the monthly level, the liquidity, in order to then trade up higher. But overall, the yen pairs are a bit different. They're more like order flow correlated, and they just move impulsively. So here, this daily demand, we grabbed some liquidity. Now what I'm looking for is an order flow switch, or like a fractal switch on a 4-hour, maybe another one, and then I'll just try to continue to trade it towards that liquidity high. So that's my game plan on Euro Yen. It is quite tricky again, but overall I think that's the best thing on Euro Yen to look for. If we take out that liquidity, will I look for shorts? Maybe, but then only if the daily order flow switch is bearish. Otherwise, like I said, the yen pairs are a bit different. Otherwise, the yen or Euro Yen could just trade up higher. Why? Well, because it is a yen pair and it doesn't really react off that liquidity like EURUSD would do, for example, before moving up higher. So that's why I'm just going to keep on trading up higher, and if my take profit is a bit higher than that liquidity, that's also just fine. Going over to JJ on the weekly time frame, we are bearish. We have this supply here, we have the liquidity that we took. We could also see some downside, but overall this could have been a manipulative move, taking liquidity in order to now just see a correction up higher. We did tap this supply, grab that liquidity, and we have some liquidity open which we could take out, but the thing is, this is the bump in the road. So what a lot of people see is that this is a supply, but overall, like we see this is some liquidity that we could take out before seeing a reaction. So overall, we could still see upside. Looking at the daily time frame, we are bearish, but like I said, this for me is a manipulative move, taking out a lot of liquidity, and now we're seeing that correction up higher. Also, we have a supply zone where we could see some longs towards. Overall, the order flow is bearish. So am I going to long? No. Am I going to short? Maybe, if it provides me. But because the weekly structure is bearish, we're in weekly supply, we have weekly liquidity. Daily structure is bearish, we are in daily premium prices, our order flow is bearish, so we could definitely see some downside, but the yen basket should be trading down lower, which means this should trade up higher as well. So looking at the 4-hour, of course, I'm not going to take longs in line with the yen basket, which should trade down lower because of the daily order flow that is bearish, but let's see what would be very clean. In my opinion, with all of the liquidity open and at quarterly level, seeing shorts after the order flow switch bearish on a 4-hour would be super clean. Why? Inside that supply you have early sellers, you swipe those, then the order flow bearish, then everything tells me that we could see some downside to take out liquidity at the lows. But overall, am I going to be taking the shorts? I'm not so sure because of the yen basket, and you know these yen pairs are a bit different, and we could now just see continuation up higher. It looks really good to take shorts with the strategy, but the yen pairs are just so different, and I could just see this as a liquidity grab to just continue to trade up higher. So be very careful when trading yen pairs, but overall this is open at the moment. So if we see a lot of breaks, and if the yen basket is breaking highs and showing signs that we could trade up higher, then I'm definitely going to short GJ towards that quarterly level. Otherwise, I'm only going to long if the daily order flow gives us a break, so that we're daily order flow bullish, and then we could see some upside. Looking at gold, it's just overall very bullish, as you can see on the weekly, on the daily as well, bullish, bullish, and bullish. So what I'm just suggesting is, of course, just shorting, no longing, no shorts on gold, definitely not this week. If we see a retracement in towards that demand, again, very easy, short, long. Now do keep in mind we have liquidity at this low, this demand open, so seeing a retracement like this in order to long is definitely also possible, but you can see how bullish it is. So if we see this retracement or like this demand, we could just continue to trade up higher. You can kind of see this impulsive phase, consolidation, now impulsive phase. And as you can see, the impulsive phase was from this low towards that high. And let's make it green for now, just to show you what I want to show you. And this then right now is our new impulsive phase. So as you can see, there is still a lot of room left to look for longs, and I think we could definitely go long towards that 4,000 level. So I'm still looking at longs, like continuing this up towards that 4,000 level. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, let's remove this right now. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, we were bullish previous week, but right now we also already changed bullish. So I'm looking for a small retracement, and the best thing would absolutely be swiping this liquidity low, tapping this refined demand. Then longs are just a plus because the order flow is bullish, structure bullish, discount prices, liquidity, and also here weekly and daily open. Why? Well, if you look at the weekly open, we have just been trading up higher. So I would like to see all of the buyers previous this week, because they know gold is bullish, see getting swiped, and then we could see some upside. So that's my game plan on gold, and that looks very, very clean. So that was also it for today, guys. I hope you saw some setups that you also want to take and learn a lot from this video. So see you guys next week. Ciao.